In case you missed it, Joe Biden's anti-terrorism initiative classifies those of us who care about other humans and oppose all forms of capitalism, corporate globalization, and governing institutions which are perceived as harmful to society as domestic violent extremists. This is coming from a blue check, anti-fascist abolitionists. We warned you. Yes, we did warn you. Joe Biden is also the devil. So when you voted for Joe Biden, you voted for a mass murdering racist devil who's the enemy of the people. And he's an authoritarian. And so here we go. This is categories of domestic violent extremists. So this is the new categories of so now we're no longer the United States is now focusing on itself. Now remember what we've said at this show since it started. Whatever we do to people overseas, whatever horrible thing we do to them, we're eventually going to do it to ourselves. And here it is. Now the terrorists are no longer in Iraq, Libya, because we're funding the terrorists now. Us in Saudi Arabia and Qatar are funding Al-Qaeda, al-Nusra, ISIS. We're doing that. Look up Timber Sycamore. Look it up. So we're actually funding. So we're not fighting terrorists anymore. We're funding them. And so now we're going to fight terrorists at home. And so we have to invent some. And so here we go. DVEs who oppose all forms of capitalism, corporate globalization, and governing institutions which are perceived as harmful to society. Dennis says, oppose all forms of capitalism? Hold that. So if you oppose all forms of capitalism, DVEs who oppose all forms of capitalism, corporate globalization, and governing institutions which are perceived as harmful to society. So if you oppose capitalism, corporate globalization, and governing institutions, you're perceived as harmful to society? Or do they perceive those things as harmful? That's a confusing paragraph, Ron. Right? Is it or no?
What do you mean? Like when you say they, what are you referring to?
So when they say which are perceived as harmful to society?
Yeah, they perceive that as harmful to society.
Who's they?
They
being the DVEs?
Yeah, well the DVEs are isn't that what that's the domestic violent extremists.
Yes.
That's what they're calling everybody who opposes capitalism.
So what I'm asking is does this paragraph say that the DVEs see these things as harmful to society?
The document put out by the White House,
or the document, does this document perceive the DVEs as harmful to society?
Yes, the document perceives the DVEs.
Okay, all right. So that's just confusing the way it's written. I'll stand by that it's confusing.
No, it's a little wonky. I see what you're saying.
So it says DVEs, which are opposed to all forms of. So could this sentence read DVEs are perceived as harmful to society, or are all forms of So it's we got it. I'm not fucking going over this again. DVEs with ideological agendas derived from anti-government or anti-authority sentiment, including opposition to perceived economic, social, or radical or racial hierarchies, or perceived government overreach, negligence, or illegitimacy. DVE, what a fucking term, DVEs. All other domestic terrorism threats, DVEs with ideological agenda that are not otherwise defined, including a combination of personal grievances and beliefs with potential bias related to religion, gender, or sexual orientation. So anybody who has thought on something might be a suspected terrorist. So if you've ever had a thought about anything, you might be. Do you hear? This is amazing. Wow.
It's remarkable. And yeah, the DVE thing is, especially for me, because my hometown is Pittsburgh, and the flagship radio station in Pittsburgh is WDVE, that they refer to as DVE. So if everybody who opposes capitalism is a DVE, I guess I'm a DVE. So I'm a DVE who has been on DVE.
So if you're seen to have a bias against religion, you are a domestic violent extremist. I've had bias against religion at many times in my life. I was brought up Catholic for 12 years, Catholic school. I have a very big bias against religion. So that makes me a domestic violent extremist, right, Ron?
Yes. That's extreme.
That's very extreme. You're not supposed to say anything bad about religion. Wow. Listen, we need to become a totalitarian police state. How else are we going to keep our freedoms? I am stealing Primo Radical's joke. Okay, Primo. It was like he went into hiding, but he came out swinging. That's a great joke, Primo, and I will pay you for it, but I definitely have to have that joke. I definitely have to have that joke. Go ahead, Ron.
I'll give a shout out too to Awkward, who wrote the initial tweet. Awkward, he's a great rapper and a great activist, and he also rescues cats. So shout out to him.
Oh, really? Look at that.
He's a good guy. You should have him on. I think you'd really enjoy talking to him.
Okay. Here's what Ashley Stevens says. This is very dangerous legislation. The main targets will be Black, Indigenous, and other peoples of color who are fighting against capitalism and the globalization of it. Y'all did not vote out fascism. This is going to cause so much harm. We should all be frightened. Damn right. Joe Biden is fascism, idiots. You think you got rid of it? You voted out Trump?
Well, I always say it's like you didn't vote out fascism. You just rearranged the furniture.
Yes. Here's another tweet. This is textbook authoritarianism. Biden is entering his Pinochet arc. I agree. Trying to remember if people telling me it will be easier to organize under Biden administration was real or if I'm just misremembering things. Of course it's easier to organize under Trump than it is under Biden because Biden puts the left to sleep and they all walk around saying, I give him an A. Biden administration wants Americans to report radicalized friends, family, coworkers to government. Boy, that could make holidays awkward. Hey, could you pass the gravy? I reported you to the Department of Homeland Security. Boy,
did you get my gift card though?
Facebook's about to get a lot weirder. Tell you that. Joe Biden wants people to snitch on their radical family members and friends, but please continue with what you were saying about North Korea and Russia. This is this is fascism. We're living this is crazy. This is what I was taught that Russia used to do. They would encourage people to snitch on each other. When I was a kid, that's what they would told us in school. That everybody's afraid, looking over their shoulder at the government, which is spying on them, and they're encouraged to snitch on their own family members.
AOC did that recently, too.
Yes, of course. Biden wants to double federal funding for a program that pays state and local governments to hire more police officers. Wow, shoot him in the leg training must be too expensive, I guess, huh?
Is that tier 1?
That's that tier 1?
It's a tier 1.
Remind me again how Biden is the lesser of two evils. He's not, and that's why I didn't vote for him. Joe Biden is not the lesser of two. Joe Biden puts people to sleep so they can go back to committing all the horrible evils that they were doing before Donald Trump. Because his tweets are nicer. That's all I got, man. That's how we voted. That's why we voted for Joe Biden. It's quite simple, actually, why we voted for Joe Biden. That's pretty funny. Then you get the lesser of two evils. But it takes a lot of math. Ryan Knight says, AOC said Biden is exceeding expectations. Pramila Jayapal gave Biden an A. Bernie Sanders endorsed Biden without any major concessions after the DNC robbed him twice. Bernie and the squad were supposed to fight back against the corrupt political establishment, not join it. Too bad they did, though. But they're not corrupt. They're not corrupt. Even though the definition of corrupt is what the squad is doing.
Jeez.
Kyle Kalinske will tell you they're not corrupt, even though the definition of corruption is being dishonest for money or personal gain. And they're being dishonest for personal gain. They lied all about forced to vote. They're still lying about what they're doing and what they're not doing, and it's all for their personal spot inside the party. After 5 years, I'm pretty sure you get, isn't it 5 years you get a pension in the House? If you're a House member, you only have to serve for 5 years. Look that up. How many years you have to serve before you get a pension in the House? I'm pretty sure it's 5 years. By definition, they're corrupt. By literal definition, the squad is corrupt. If you look up the definition, which I did, I looked it up, the definition is it has a picture of the squad next to it. Anything you'd like to add to so this is great. Joe Biden turning out to be just as big a nightmare fascist as Donald Trump.
You were correct. 5 years.
5 years. Who could have called it?
Yeah, and this is par for the course, because this has been going on in the United States to many extents for almost a century now. And why is that? Well, it's because there was a point in time in history where we had some stronger communist parties and communists and socialists and anarchists and the working class and the unions. They kind of all got together. They didn't agree on everything, but they got together just enough to really be a force to be reckoned with. And what happened then? Well, a New Deal happened then. And the powers that be decided something like that can never, ever happen again.
And it hasn't.
And it hasn't.
So congratulations, shitlibs. You voted for Joe Biden. Are you proud of yourself? You voted for a demented fascist who's an enemy of the workers and a warmonger. Ha ha ha. Well, go pat yourself on the back some more. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.